So with this cycle of lowering interest rates into a recession and increasing them into a boom, they just keep allowing more and more bad debt to accumulate until we get to the point where we're at 80% private debt to GDP and 130% public debt to GDP in the US. And there's so much debt that the system starts to fall apart every time we hike. And that's where the Fed has to cut. We have a Fed meeting today. They're cutting again. They just cut 25 basis points. Why? We're not in a recession. There's no banking panic that they're talking about. We're lowering because the system cannot handle this, right? The Treasury itself is straining. And so it's just their game. And the problem is that this game is terminal because it eventually means that the system is so indebted that nothing can save it except for QE infinity.
When you have a monetary system that has no limits on how much can be printed, the only way to really establish long-term security for yourself and other generations is to just hoard as many assets as possible. As many real assets, whether they're cash flow producing or whether they have just good speculative value, just accrue as many of them as possible. So they set up a world where greed is the only way to essentially make it. You have to be greedy. You can't be selfless, because if you're selfless, you're going to be poor. And so what they turn money into a drug, essentially, that you have to acquire at all costs. And there's never too much of it. You have to keep accumulating more, because if you sit, once you're satisfied with your, couple million cash, guess what? After a couple of years, your purchasing power is eradicated.
I've come to the conclusion that, there is no way to fix it within the system, because it's humans and human incentives and human desires that ultimately shape the system. That's why Bitcoin is so brilliant, is because it removes humans from the monetary system for the first time in all history.